Finally.
So what would it take to transform a clumsy kid into a fleet-footed Spider-Man? Could someone really be given a genetic tune-up to make them faster?
Humans by no means have the fastest muscles. There are animals that are a lot faster, and it's very reasonable to think that a human could be made faster as well. By altering two proteins, actin and myosin, these act as ratchets which pull the muscle closed. You could make the muscle faster and therefore make the person faster.
And we have very fast muscles like that in our eyes. It would be like your whole body is made up of muscles that control the eye. Very fast.
It is possible that Peter Parker has, in all those cascade of events, from brain, neuron, muscle, connective tissue, bone, that the connections are better. And thereby, his response to threats and his activities can be done more quickly.
How'd you do that?
Work out, plenty of rest, you know, eat your green vegetables.
That's what my mom is always saying. I just never actually believed her.
In terms of his quick maneuvers in the air, Spider-Man's acrobatics through the glass and steel jungles of New York City are in line with real-world physics.
To rotate or spin a body, you really usually need to apply a torque or force to it. However, as gymnasts and divers know, that you can actually get your body to spin in midair by moving different parts of it in different ways at different times.
This is a shot from Spider-Man 3. This is a typical swinging shot, and this is an example of how we consider a lot of things about the strength and the forces. Up top here, he's laying on his back, then he'll kick his legs back here to bring his body forward, so that then he's in a position to bring his arm up and shoot the next web, and then the cycle starts again.
Spider-Man's powers are amazing, but they come with great responsibility. He learns the hard way that he also has to think as quickly as he moves.
We had a tragedy that occurred in Spider-Man's life. The girl he loved at the time, Gwen Stacy, was falling and he wanted to save her.
In issue number 121 of The Amazing Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy is hurled from the Brooklyn Bridge by the devilish Green Goblin.
He shut his webbing down to catch her with the best of intentions. In so doing, when the webbing caught her, her neck snapped and she died. Now he has this bit of guilt to carry with him forever.
When he tried to save Gwen Stacy, what Spider-Man chooses to do is grab her with his web, sending it rather quickly, grabbing her leg, and stopping her in a very short amount of time. This is very dangerous because a short amount of time leads to a very large force and snaps her neck.
Hand her over! Of course!
In the case of Spider-Man saving people who are falling, the key thing you want to do is slow them down over a long time or over a long distance. Just like when you're bungee jumping, the cords stretch over a long time. That makes a smaller force, and that is what helps you not receive damage. Same thing happens with airbags in a car. Instead of suddenly hitting the steering wheel and stopping quickly, you go into the airbag, which stops you slowly over time in a longer distance.
In the first Spider-Man movie, our hero makes all the right moves when it comes to catching a damsel in distress. When MJ falls from a balcony in Times Square, Spidey doesn't make the mistake of grabbing her suddenly with his webbing. Instead, our hero dives after MJ, adjusts to her speed of falling, and only then does he use his webbing to stop them from smashing into the sidewalk.
In this case, he uses a lot of really good physics, and it's that slowing them down slowly with the stretchiness of the web, just like a bungee jumper does, that really saves them in this situation.
But being the coolest superhero on the block isn't always enough to keep Spider-Man one step ahead of the bad guys. Luckily, he's got another talent on his resume, Spider Sense. An intuitive reflex that alerts him to impending danger.
In a movie, we had a real opportunity to establish what would it look like. And in movie one, you can see it. It's like all the elements go into slow-mo, and it's like a radar system. You see everything and you sort of pinpoint the danger, and then it gives you just enough reaction time for a Spider-Man, not for a normal human.
Spider sense is almost like a sixth sense of trouble. It's his way of reflecting that sixth sense that the animals in nature have of danger on the horizon, an approaching hurricane, whatever it may be, and he immediately leaps into action.
Spider-Man's Spidey sense isn't just impressive, it's actually based on an ability many real spiders have.
They are very sensitive to vibration and changes in air pressure. And actually, they can feel something coming because of those vibrations.
The ones that catch prey in webs, basically they feel something hitting the web. Ones on the ground can feel things through air movement. They have this trichobothria, which is a really fine hair, and it's kind of a touch at a distance. They can perceive air currents coming in, so if they can feel something approaching through vibration. So it's possible that Spider-Man was endowed with those senses. Maybe that spider sense was something like a touch at a distance, and he could feel something happening.
Okay, so we've investigated the plausibility of Spider-Man's web slinging, spider strength, spider speed, and spider sense. But there's one more phenomenal skill known around the world that puts Spidey ahead of the pack. One that seems to defy the laws of gravity, but still has a solid footing in scientific fact.
Peter? Is that you? How strange. There's nobody here.
Only Spider-Man can raise the simple act of just hanging around to high art.
Where is she?
Which is especially handy outside a criminal's lair.
Well, I figured, okay, he could stick to walls, like a spider or any insect, and that would make it fun.
But watching Spider-Man's gravity-defying heroics raises a big question.
I'm coming!
What does Spidey have that the rest of us don't?
Hang on!
There are a couple different ways that spiders climb on walls. One is that most walls have minute little bumps or fractures. If you take a microscope to a section of it, you can see little ledges or rough spots on it. Spiders have claws on all 8 legs, so all 8 legs are working. With the claws that they have, they can grab on the surfaces.
But Spider-Man doesn't have claws, so that's not the answer. What he does have is special hair that emerges when needed to, say, get to the top of a building without taking the stairs. Some real spiders have similar hair, with a unique property that lets them cling to surfaces as smooth as glass.
They have a lot of tiny, tiny, tiny little hairs on their feet, which create electrostatic forces, this field of fluctuating positive and negative charges.
This electrostatic connection is known as a van der Waals force, which causes the hairs on a spider's feet to interact with surfaces on a molecular level.
And these small hairs really have to get quite small, much smaller than you would normally think, so that they can get very close to the atom surfaces and actually develop forces from atomic to atomic interactions. The hairs are very similar to spikes on boots that ice climbers use. The ice boots work because you make holes that you stick in, and the spider hairs are really sticking in between the atomic structure and getting the atoms close enough to each other that they can generate forces that hold them up.